Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Cámara Peruana de Comercio Exterior, CAMEX. Welcome to our daily lectures. Today we are going to talk about industries and companies and words that define them. Okay. As you know, my name is Carlos Martinez. I am an English instructor and speaking coach. I am a former team leader from Pacifico University, and currently I am working as an EFL teacher at the Mater Purísima School in Miraflores. I hope everyone is safe and sound at home. And remember, if you need to go out, only if it's necessary. Okay. Like I said, today we're going to talk about industries and the definition of some industries, and also, learning some vocabulary, okay, regarding businesses. First of all, we have what is industry. Industry can be divided in many subgroups, okay, and the main groups that the industry can be divided are materials. Okay, remember, first I'm going to mention them, and then I'm going to go more in depth defining what they are. First one is materials. Then we have energy. Okay, the energy industry. Then we have commercial services and supplies. Then we have consumer discretionary. These are things that people would like to have, but they are not really necessary. Okay, these are like, I don't want to say luxuries, but these are things that are not needed for survival necessary. Okay, and when we have consumer staples, this is the opposite. These are things that people need. I mean, these are things that you need to have them to be able to have a normal life. You know, healthcare, the financial industry, utilities. Utilities, are everything that works for your home. Like electricity and stuff like that. Telecommunications. Then we have information technology, and in the industrial industry, although it sounds redundant. Okay, all these, 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, right? 11 sectors form or are part of every country. Not only, this is not for one individual country, this is for every country. Okay, and this is a national economy can be described in terms of its main sectors or industries. This is a mind map, and this is a simple version of the global industry classification standard made by Morgan Stanley and Standard and Poor's. I mean, you must already know those names. These are companies that classify and evaluate every country in the world, and in how they are economically, and evaluate their economical status, and evaluate how they are behaving, and how if they could be good investments or bad investments, etc., etc. Okay, so this is how they classify, and these are the things they take into account when they want to evaluate the economy of a country. Okay, so again, we have materials, we have energy, commercial services and supplies, consumer discretionary, then we have consumer staples, health care, financials, utilities, telecommunications, information technology, and the industry per se. Okay, the industry per se. Remember that every day, every time we have these classes, I will follow you via Facebook, okay? So via Facebook chat, and you can ask me questions through there, and I will answer them. Um, every now and then, there's going to be a review part where we will review some of the words, and we will make it interactive. So please let me know if you have any questions through the chat area. Okay, I will try to answer them as quickly as possible. Remember that there is a little bit of a delay between my exposition and the questions. So if you type something and it seems that I am not answering, it's not that. It's just that maybe the message was delayed and I received it a little bit later. Okay. So now let's go into detail of each of these groups. Like I said, the first one is energy. Okay, this refers to anything that has to do with energy equipment and services, also oil and gas, also the oil and gas industry. Then we have commercial services. Here we have anything has to do with cleaning, auditing, human resources, office supplies, security, etc. Consumer discretionary. Okay, here like I said, these are things that are unnecessary, but and desirable. But I mean, again, I don't want to say the word luxuries, but these are things that are not needed for a person to live his a normal life. If you can acquire them, awesome, right? Automobiles, household durables, consumer electronics, household appliances, leisure equipment, textiles, hotels and restaurants, educational services, media advertising, movies, retails, etc. And then we have a consumer staples. And these are the things that people need to survive, okay? Food and beverages and household goods. Then in healthcare, we have equipment and anything that has to do with health services, biotech or life sciences, okay? So again, we have energy, commercial services, consumer discretionary, consumer staples, and healthcare. Energy, anything that has to do with creating energy like oil, gas, or the equipment that is used to create energy. Commercial services, anything that is like any business, any normal business. Consumer discretionary, remember the consumer discretionary refers to things that, again, a person can desire to have or would like to have, but if he gets it or not, it's not going to affect his ability to survive or live a normal life. Whereas in consumer staples here, these are things that you need. Okay, these are things that are necessary. Okay, everybody needs them. These are not optional. Let's call them that way. Okay, consumer discretionary will be optional things that you can or cannot have, and consumer staples are things that you need. They are obligated. It is not an option. And of course, healthcare, anything that's related to health. The financial area is, well, what its name says, banks, insurance, insurance companies like here in Peru, Pacifico, RIMAC, MAPFRE, right? These are insurance companies. Then we have real estate. Nowadays, it's become common. In the past, real estate was not such a big business in Lima. But nowadays, you have many companies like Century 21, Remax, people who companies that invest in land and in properties, and they sell them. They negotiate the price of a land. Um, then we have capital markets, diversified financial services, and brokerages. Capital markets and brokerages are related because they have to do with the stock market. Um, Here in Lima, we have the Lima stock market, but the most famous one is the one in the USA, the one in Wall Street, right, where they negotiate stocks or shares of companies. Utilities, like I told you before, is anything that has to do with the services that your house receives. Electricity, for example, where I live, Luz del Sur is the company that's in charge of this activity. Gas, um, for the people who have natural gas, and water. Okay, water is taken care by Sedapal, right? At least now, at least in Lima. Telecommunications is, fixed line, cell phones, fiber optics, internet. Okay, this I think the companies that are here are Movistar, Claro, and Intel, and they are basically the three big ones, right? but this is what the telecommunications area refers to. Information technology has anything to do with software and hardware, technology, hardware, internet equipment, IT services, etc. It might seem that it's related to telecommunications, but remember that information tech has more to do with literally computer services and hardware and software, whereas telecommunications, like it says, like its name includes, has to do with communicating people. Okay. Then we have transportation, air freight, airlines, marine, road, rail. Okay. The air freight and airlines, remember, like I mentioned before, basically airlines will have to do with transporting passengers, people, whereas air freight will have to do with transporting things, stuff, containers and objects, right? Then we have marine, through the water, road, using the highways, using the streets, and rail, using the trains. Okay. Capital goods, this has to do with things that are related to defense, things that are related to building things, construction equipment, electrical equipment, and all the machines that are related to this area. Okay. And finally, materials. This has to do literally with materials, chemicals, containers, metal, mining, paper, forest. This has to do with everything that all the raw materials that a country produces or has. Okay. When I say the word raw material, it's anything that's the initial stages. For example, if you want to make a chair, you need wood. The raw material will be found in the forests. Okay, for example, if you want to have jewelry, or if you want to have some kind of necklace or gold or silver jewelry, that's the final product. The raw material will be found in the mines. Okay, and so this is what is referred to as the materials section. Okay, so like I mentioned before, these are the 11 areas that are taken into account when a country or a nation is evaluated, um, to see how is their economy. Okay, and again, this is a standard made by Morgan Stanley and Standard and Poor's. They use these categories to evaluate how a country is, like the health of an economy. Okay, how healthy an economy is, and they use it for they use these standards to measure how a country is, economically speaking. Okay, very good. So let's continue. Another way that an economy can be classified is by their industries. And here we have three. We have the primary industries, secondary industries, and services industries. Okay. The primary industries will be agriculture, forestry, and mining. Okay. That's basic, right? These are taking into account or using raw materials. Secondary industries will have to do with anything that is related to construction and manufacturing. Okay. In manufacturing, we talk about capital goods like equipment and machinery, durable goods, which are cars, washing machines, and non-durable goods will be food and beverages, clothing, and apparel. Okay, as the name says, durable goods are things that normally last for a long time if you take good care of them, and non-durable goods are goods that are used, and I mean, they don't have a you as you use them, they start to finish. For example, like food, right? You buy a certain amount of food, and you start to consume it, and eventually it will finish, and you will need to get more food. Whereas a car, you can use it as many times as you want, and normally the lifespan of a car, if you take good care of it, could be for many years. Okay, the same as for washing machine. So that's the difference between a durable good and a non-durable good. And then finally, we have the service industries, which are, again, industries that are related to giving service to the people, which are, in this case, I'm mentioning just three: banking, entertainment, and tourism. Okay, so again, another way to classify, the first way we classified the economy was in the 11 areas that I mentioned: economy, um, consumer staples, consumer discretionary, utilities, etc. This is another way of classifying the economy in three industries: primary industries, secondary industries, and service industries. Primary industries, for example, agriculture, forest, and mining. Secondary industries, manufacturing goods, durable goods, and non-durable goods. And finally, the service industries, which are any industry that gives services to others or um, um, attends things like banking, entertainment, and tourism. Then also another way an economy can be subdivided is in between the private sector and the public sector. The private sector will be the large corporations. For example, we have SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises. This is what we called here in Peru MIPES or pymes, okay, and the individuals that are self-employed. So this is the private sector. And then we have the public sector, which can be, which we have examples of schools, hospitals. Then we have the OSEs, which are the state-owned enterprises, railways or post offices, okay? For example, Petro Peru, which will be an example of a state-owned enterprise. Okay, so again, that's another way we can classify an economy by if it's a private sector and the public sector. The public sector is anything that's related to that is run or managed by the government, which can be schools, hospitals, or SOEs, and railways or the post office. And then we have the private sector, which normally are big corporations, SMEs, which are the small and medium-sized enterprises. Like I said, the SMEs will be what in Peru we call the pymes, and the individuals that are self-employed, okay? So apart from the first way of categorizing the economy of a country, and these are two different ways of categorizing it. The first one is subdividing it in primary industries, secondary industries, and service industries. And the other way is by what is the private sector and what is the public sector. Anything that has to do with the public sector, that means it's run by or administrated by the government. Okay, whereas the private sector, no, the private sector is run by individuals, okay? And here we said, like in the private sector, we have the examples of the SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, and in the public sector, we have examples like the SOEs, or the state-owned enterprises. Okay. So basically, this is what we have to say in the case of how an economy is subdivided or categorized. Okay. Now, talking about businesses, there's also different type of businesses that can be, how businesses can be classified. Okay, the first one is, as you can see here, is what's called a sole trader, or in the US, it's called a sole proprietorship. That means that it's only one person. Okay, you are the owner of your business, you manage your business, you know how to do, you do everything. Okay, this person has unlimited liability. Liability is a synonym of responsibility. Okay, that means that you're responsible for any debt, for all the debts that are your company might acquire, because you are the sole proprietor. Okay, sometimes people call themselves also freelancers, because you don't work for anybody, you work for yourself. Okay, like I said, it could be the synonyms are sole trader or sole proprietor, and also sometimes called a freelancer. Okay, or businesses that are owned by one person, and you are responsible for everything, for all the responsibilities or all the debts that this company might acquire. Then the second type of business is a partnership. A partnership is one where two or more people run a business. Okay, normally lawyers, architects are examples, typical examples of partnerships. Okay, law firms, architectural firms, They are normally formed by two or more people. That's normally they are the names that appear in the business card, right? The people, the partners of this business. Then we have the limited liability company. Okay, now there is a legal distinction between the company and the owners. The company is one thing and the people is another. The company is responsible for all the debts. Okay, the company is if our company buys something or gets credit, the company is responsible for and the liability is on the company, not the owner. Okay, so this is what in Peru we sometimes call the persona jurídica, right? Where the company becomes an entity. It has duties and it has rights. And any debt that the company acquires is the company's responsibility, not the people who own it, okay? Usually it is a small and family-run business. Okay, yeah, this is how normally it starts, you know. It's a small business and normally it's made between brothers or sisters or families, right? It is referred to as private because the shares cannot be sold in the public. That means that when I refer to shares, it means that it is not collocated in the stock market. It is the company belongs only to the people, only to the owners, to nobody else. In official documents, the company name is followed by, in the case of the UK, LTD or limited, and in the USA by the letters LLC, or meaning limited liability company. Okay, so when you see a company that has LTD in the UK or LLC in the USA, that means that the company is a legal entity. Okay, and then any debt acquired by the company belongs only to the company, not to the people. Okay, and again, it is private. The shares are not traded in the stock market. Next. Okay, remember that remember that we can interact through Facebook. So if you have any comments or any things that you would like to ask, remember that you can use Facebook chat to ask me any questions that you might have. Okay, and then we can continue interacting. Okay, let me see, are there any comments? No, I don't see. No, hopefully I'm reading right, because the last time I was here the comment area was blank, but then I started to see many comments appear after the lecture was finished. Okay, so let's continue. So like I said, first, the sole trader, only one person. Partnership, sole trader, only one person is the owner of the company and responsible for everything, the debts and any responsibility that the company might have. Partnership, when two or more people own this company. And then the limited liability company, the company becomes an entity. The company becomes acquires duties and responsibilities. The owners have no responsibility on any debt or anything that is done by the company. The company is responsible for everything. Okay, if you are in the UK, this is established. This is demonstrated by the letters limited, LTD, or if you are in the USA, this is demonstrated by the letters LLC, or limited liability company. Next, we have the public company and the franchises. Okay, a public company in the USA, it's called a corporation. Now, when a company is owned by shareholders or stockholders, like financial institutions, or just people from regular people, this is called a public company or a corporation, right? Because it has shares. the company is divided into shares, and everybody can buy a share, can be owner of this company. Okay, the shareholders receive profits every year. The dividends is all the profit that you receive from the company. Okay, anything that was any economical profit that might have been achieved will be divided amongst all the shareholders. Okay, you can win money or you can lose money, so it depends on the stock market. But if the company wins money, then you win money. But if the company loses money, then you will lose money. Okay, and these companies are normally, in this case of public companies or corporations, they are run by a board, by a committee of people who control who make all the decisions and decide the future of what the company is going to do, or what action it's going to take. Okay. In the official documents in the UK, for example, you see the word PLC. When in the USA, you see the letters INC Inc. or CORP Corp. Okay, so remember, these are public companies. These are companies that have stocks in the stock market. Like I said, the most famous stock market is Wall Street, but here in Lima, we also have a stock market. And the company is split into little pieces, which are called stocks or shares. Anybody can buy these stocks or shares, of course, if you're able to pay for them. Everybody shares from the profits of the company, but also the losses. So if the company wins, you win. The company loses, you lose. And they are normally run by a board, okay, a group of people or committee that decides, or that takes all the decisions, makes all the decisions for the company. If you are in England, the UK, you're going to see the letters PLC, and if you are in the USA, you're going to see the letters Inc. or Corp, CORP. Okay, good. So that is what it refers to public companies. Next, we have franchises. Okay, a franchise, for example, the most common franchise or the most known franchise is the McDonald's. Okay, it's when the owner of the company allows other people, which will be called franchisees, to set the business using its name, using its products, and of course using its reputation. Okay, so basically this company, even though it's a new company, it starts out, if it uses the name of the company to use its reputation and acquire business. Okay, for example, if you want to open a restaurant, you can open it with your own name, and maybe after many years, your name becomes renowned. Your name, you gain a reputation that your food is good, etc., and you start growing. But if you start a business and you use a name that has already a background of many years, and it has a reputation of excellent food, you probably will have a successful business from the day one, because you are using the reputation, you're using the products and the name of a company that already exists. So you're using its reputation to start out with a good business. Okay, that's the purpose of a franchise. When you want to open a business, but you don't want to start from scratch, you don't want to start from zero, you want to use somebody else's reputation and fame in your benefit. So this is a franchise. You negotiate with the company, and you have, of course, you need to pay a certain amount to be able to use its name, and you start. Okay, so like I said, the most common is McDonald's, but we have many in Peru. Domino's Pizza, Pizza Hut, Kentucky Fried Chicken, etc., etc. Okay, these are all franchises because the company name and all the products belong to another person, and you are using it with its permission. Okay, that's a franchise. Now, business expansion, how businesses grow. Okay, how businesses grow. The first one is internal growth. Okay, well, the first three are internal growth, but there are three ways, three outcomes. Okay, first one is the internal growth. The company increases its sales, employees, etc., but it remains a private company. Remember, we said private company. It's because it's run by families or individuals, and they don't sell in the stock market. Okay, so like I said, you stay private. The company increases sales, increases employees, etc., but it remains a private company. It is run by the original founders of the business. Okay, um, it's not sold to anybody, and you can and the original founders stay in control. Okay, then we have the internal growth with the IPO. The company has grown, it's become large, but now it has decided to become public. Okay, now you're going to share your stocks in the stock market. I remember when Facebook became an IPO, or even when with Apple and all these companies that started out small, but they began to grow, and eventually they grew so much that they went from a business into a corporation. And once you have a corporation, you have a board, etc., and they started to sell in the stock market. So these companies are called IPOs. Okay, the process of using shares for the first time is called an IPO, or the initial public offering. Okay, and then the also internal growth is the trade sale. Now, this is common nowadays with startups. For example, imagine I create well, the most common are, for example, WhatsApp. WhatsApp was an app that was created by somebody, and it became so famous that eventually it was it was um, um, it was absorbed by a bigger company, which in this case is Facebook. Okay, and this is trade sale. Okay, a larger company of the same sector, they absorb smaller companies and they become part of them. Okay, and the original sometimes disappears. Many startups in the IT was sold in this way. Google, Microsoft, for example, they started buying small companies and started making them part of their company. Okay, and this is another way a company grows. Okay, that you become part of a bigger company. Okay, you become part of a bigger company. So these are three ways that that a business can expand, referring to the internal growth. First, you grow, but you stay private. Nothing changes, only the size, the quantity of employees, etc. But you still remain private. The second one, the IPO, when you grow so much that you become from a business to a corporation, you have a board of directees, and you start selling shares in the stock market. In this case, you become the initial public offering, which is the IPO. And finally, is become when you become part of a bigger company. A bigger company buys you. You negotiate and they buy you, and you become a part of it. Okay. The next type of business expansion is the merger. Here is where two companies get together to form one big company. The difference with trade sale is that a big company absorbs a small company. Okay, the small company becomes part of the big company, but the big company is still the main company. In a merger, no. In a merger, you have two big companies that they get together to form one big company. So that's the difference between trade sale and merger. Okay, again, in a trade sale, a big company already absorbs a smaller company. In a merger, no. In a merger, two big companies get together to form one big company. The next one is the acquisition or the takeover. Here is when a big company it starts buying, or not a big company, just a normal company, it starts buying shares. Okay, but it starts to buy so many shares that it eventually will own so many shares that it will have more shares than the original owner. So the owner still has the owner is still the owner of the company, but it is not controlled by the company that has most shares controls the future of the company. Okay, um, like it says here, the acquired company keeps its name but becomes a subsidiary of the large company. Okay, so it seems confusing sometimes with trade sale or merger, But like I said, trade sale, big company eats the small company. Okay. A merger, two companies get together to form one big company. And in acquisition takeover, one big company starts buying the shares of another company, and little by little, until they have so many shares that they run the business, even though they don't own it. Okay, the company eventually um, still has its name, but it becomes a subsidiary of the big company. Okay, so these are the ways that a company can grow. Like I said, internal growth, stay private, you grow, but you don't change. Everything stays the same. IPO is when you're a small company becomes a corporation and you want to sell your stocks in the stock market. Trade sale is when a big company absorbs a smaller company. Merger is two companies get together to form one big company. And acquisition is when one company starts buying the shares of another company, and eventually it buys so many that has it becomes the owner of the company. Okay, very good. So let's practice a little bit. Okay, since these are all the words that we're going to use, but now I want to practice a little bit. Okay, so we have some definitions. Okay, here we have some definitions, and I would like for us to fill in the blanks. Goods that are carried by a ship, train, or aircraft are called, fill in the letters. A product used in the home is a product. Let's fill in the letters. Number 3, a piece of electrical equipment used in people's homes are, fill in the letters. The word clothing and drinks are conversational. In a business context, you often see the words, okay, what's another word for clothing and drinks? Okay, rooms, equipment, or services that are provided for a particular purpose are, another term for property is, the business of buying and selling shares is called, and public services used by everyone is what? Okay, so let's see. What do you think? Goods that are carried by ship, train, or aircraft are called FR, and we're missing some letters. We've been talking about this concept many times before. What are they? You know? I'm reading you. I'm reading your answers in Facebook. Yes, if you thought of freight, you were correct, right? Freight is goods that are carried by a ship, train, or aircraft. Very good. Next, a product used in the home is a product. Starts with an HO. Okay. Give you a couple of seconds. And yes, household product. Any product that is used in a home. Next, pieces of electrical equipment used in people's homes. Pieces of electrical equipment used in people's homes. They are very good. Appliances. If you said appliances, very good. Next, the word clothing and drinks are conversational. In a business context, you often see the word and. What do you think? What do you think? Yes, apparel and beverages. Very good. Very good. Next, we have rooms, equipment, or services that are provided for a particular purpose. They are, yes. If you said facilities, you were right. Next, another term for property. Another term for property. Another term for property. Remember I said companies like Century 21 or Remax. Yes, real estate. Real estate. The business of buying and selling shares or stocks is called. The business of buying and selling shares or stocks is called. Yes, if you said brokerage, you were correct. Brokerage is the business of buying and selling shares. And finally, public services used by everyone are. Public services used by everyone are. Utilities. Very good. Utilities. Excellent. They are utilities. Very, very good. And so remember, goods that are carried by ship, freight. A product used in the home, household. A product. Pieces of electrical equipment used in people's homes, appliances. Another word for clothing, apparel. Another word for drinks, beverages. Rooms, equipment, services that are provided for a particular purpose, facilities. Another term for property, real estate. Business of buying and selling shares, brokerage. And public services used by everyone, utilities. Very good. Now, collocations. Collocations are words that normally go together without any grammatical reason. I would like for you to match the words in the box with the word appliances, device, equipment, and machinery. For example, in the first box, we have kitchen, office, standard. Second box, heavy, agricultural, construction. Third box, a handheld, labor saving and safety. And finally, a household, domestic, and electrical. So match, where would you collocate? Let's do the first one. Equipment, right? Kitchen equipment, office equipment, standard equipment. What about the other three? Where would you collocate appliance, device, and machinery? Where would you collocate appliance, device, and machinery? Okay, so if you say heavy agricultural in construction, machinery, right? Heavy machinery, agricultural machinery, construction machinery. Good. Let's see the next one. Very good. If you said device, very good. A handheld device, labor-saving device, and safety device. And finally, as household appliance, domestic appliance, and electrical appliance. Very good. Very good. Now, this is one, we're going to go through this fast, but here we have some companies, for example, Cisco, Citigroup, Exxon, General Electric, Intel, Pfizer, Procter & Gamble, Walmart, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and UPS. And here we have some examples. The world's largest oil producer and distributor, ExxonMobil, provides auditing, tax, and consulting services to other businesses. An international company, its services include current accounts, insurance, stock brokerage, etc. Designs and manufactures microprocessors, specialized integrated circuits. The world's #1 maker of household and personal products. For example, Ariel, Fairy, Gillette, Pampers, Pantene. So, provides auditing, tax, and consulting services to other businesses. Which of the companies there does this? Cisco, Pfizer, Intel, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Provides auditing, tax, and consulting? Yes, PricewaterhouseCoopers. An international company, its services include current accounts. Anything has to do with insurance and banking is an easy one. It has to do with insurance, stock brokerage, investment banking. Very good, very good. Citigroup. Next, designs and manufactures microprocessors, specialized integrated circuits. Cisco, good. The world's #1 maker of household and personal products. This is an easy one too. We have this a lot in Peru. Procter and Gamble. Very good. Very good. Very good. Now let's go to, again. One of America's largest and most diverse corporations, power generation, jet engines, etc. #7, a global healthcare company, famous for making Viagra. #8, the largest private employer in the US. 9 out of every 100 Americans spend on shopping in their companies. A worldwide delivery company, and manufactures hardware such as switches and routers that allow the internet function and computers to talk to each other. So #6, GE, very good. General Electric, very good. #7, a global healthcare company famous for making Viagra. Very good. Pfizer, the largest employer in the US. $9 out of every $100 that Americans spend is spent in their companies. $9 out of every $100 is spent in their companies, in their stores. Very good. Walmart. And then a worldwide delivery company. It's for delivery. I think their offices here in Lima are in Ejército Avenue. They're brown. There we go. UPS. Then we have manufacturers hardware such as switches and routers. Intel, very good. That was the last one that was missing. Very good. And definitions. What would you complete here? For example, manufacturing is the transformation of into. Some industries like semiconductors and steel use the term in the place of manufacturing. Which would you use here? Manufacturing is the transformation of into. Some industries like semiconductors and steel use the term in the place of manufacturing. What would you use? Very good. Raw materials. Manufacturing is the transformation of raw materials into finished goods. Some industries like semiconductors and steel use the term fabrication in place of manufacturing. Good. #2, are manufactured goods that are not destroyed by use, such as automobiles or furniture. Manufactured goods that are not destroyed by use. Very good. Consumer durables are manufactured goods that are not destroyed by use, such as automobiles, household appliances, or furniture. Very good. #3, generally lasts for only a short time. Common examples are apparel, office stationery, and gasoline. The opposite of #2. Very good. Non-durable goods generally last for only a short time. Common examples are food and beverages, apparel, and office stationery and gasoline. Finally, #4, sometimes a manufacturing company positions itself as a service company. They offer not just products, but business solutions. Very good. Business solutions. And finally, we have these 3. I want you to match. Here we need to match. Match what's on the left, which what's on the right. The word can just be a synonym for company, but it is more often used for a small company providing a professional service, such as of accountants, lawyers, or architects. 2, a is when two companies join to form one. The suggestion is that the process is welcomed by both sides. And is when one company buys another company. The process could be unwelcome by the smaller company who might feel that they are being taken over. And finally, a is simply money that someone owns. A refers to an amount of money that a company owes, but it can also mean the legal responsibility for paying for something. Okay, so number one, synonym for company. Very good. The word firm can just be a synonym for company, but it is more often used for a small company providing a professional service, such as a partnership of accountants, lawyers, or architects. Next, number two, when two companies join to form one. Very good. A merger. A merger is when two companies join to form one. The suggestion is that the process is welcomed by both sides. Welcomed by both sides. No, there's no problem. An acquisition is when one company buys another. The process could be unwelcomed by the smaller company who might feel that they're being taken over. And finally, well, the only option is this one. A debt is simply money that I owe. That's a debt. But a liability refers to the amount of money that a company owes, but it can also mean the legal responsibility for paying for something, okay? So notice a debt is money that I owe, but a liability is, apart from owing money, it is also the legal responsibility to pay for this money, okay? Very good. So with this, we finish. I will read your comments or your questions in Facebook. If you have any comments or questions, let me know so I can answer them. Okay. No comments, no questions. No. Remember that if you have any questions or regarding the courses, you can contact the Cámara Peruana de Comercio Exterior for more information. Also, you can contact me at my information here, my email, my number and WhatsApp, or my user at a LinkedIn for more questions referring to English or the topics that are talked about in these conferences. Okay, we will see each other again on Thursday, tomorrow, and then on Saturday with new topics. I hope you have a good afternoon, and please stay safe. Don't go out if it isn't necessary. Okay, thank you very much.